Wendy Williams was blackballed from the industry and called crazy simply because she refused to stay silent. Katt Williams just revealed exactly what the industry did to Wendy Williams and named everyone that he believes is next. Hollywood really is an industry built on intimidation and deception.
I infiltrate the Illuminati, find out what the fuck they got going on, get the information, run back to y'all, tell y'all everything I know. That's my motherfucking job. But I don't know how many more times I'm gonna be able to sneak in there. Thanks to Shannon Sharp and 90 million views, I can't sneak very often. So while I was in there this last time, knowing that my last report might be my last report, I went in there and I got information for everybody. Look at my white friends. Us too? That's right, white secrets.
For years, Katt Williams has claimed that powerful people in Hollywood tried to pressure him into playing by their rules. According to Katt, he was offered massive movie roles, money, women, and opportunities that most entertainers would never turn down. But he says he rejected those deals because he believed there were hidden conditions attached to them, and he refused to compromise himself just to stay accepted in the industry. During a conversation with Theo Vaughn, Katt spoke about how shocked he was by the influence allegedly held by Harvey Weinstein at the height of his power in Hollywood. Katt suggested that Weinstein operated with enormous control behind the scenes and claimed that certain offers were presented to him that crossed personal boundaries he was unwilling to accept. According to Katt, once industry executives realized they couldn't manipulate or control him through fame or luxury, things allegedly started changing fast. He believes he was pushed out of major opportunities, blacklisted from projects, and portrayed negatively in the media.
This is their 9th time coming to my house. The problem was this time they came to my office and took my kids from an office. Not from my house, from an office. So now when I can't have my kids at my office,
that's an issue.
I must be the most terrible black dude. Because here's the whole thing. You're gonna charge me with child endangerment? After I adopted 7 children and had them for 14 years in this state? Really? You coming after my kids now? Because it was already a witch hunt. Now you want my babies? Yikes.
One person this story sounds eerily familiar to is Wendy Williams. Wendy spoke out about how a certain kind of people were taking over Hollywood and how producers like Diddy were forcing performers to act and be more feminine. Wendy was called crazy and forced to stay away from her kids, all because of an interview. In 2013, Wendy Williams opened up about the feminization of hip-hop after giving her opinion on rappers' fashion choices. She pointed out that closeted gay men have always existed in rap. Even in the 1980 ESTA during the interview, Wendy Williams revealed that she had been fired for trying to reveal that Diddy was gay.
Right, well, Kanye had the kilt, and then ASAP had the long dress.
Yeah.
Have you seen the ASAP picture?
Yeah, I'm not down with any of that. I mean, wouldn't be my man.
No?
No.
We brought in Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian. Because he had made some comments about that.
What did he say?
Well, he talked about the whole feminization of hip hop culture from the 80s on.
I think he's taking the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about how when we were younger, you wear an ear in your left ear, and that was considered straight, and ear in your right ear, that'd be gay. And then at one point, people started wearing both earrings, and what I mean.
And then they started wearing girl pants, and then they're wearing jeggings, and then yes, it's very effeminized, but be very clear, there were lots of homosexuals in hip hop back in the 80s too, that was. What's worse, hip hop wearing skirts or hip hop being closeted and having a plethora of kids to prove manhood that, and denial of something that you shouldn't have to deny, which is your sexuality. Mm-hmm. So I hear what Jamar is saying, but we come from a very homosexual era of hip hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle.
Soon after this interview, Wendy was allegedly diagnosed with dementia and cut off from Hollywood. She was even forced to live at a psychiatric facility, being force-fed drugs, just because she decided to expose Diddy for the person he really was. We're only now finding out that Wendy never had dementia in the first place. And all of this was done just to silence her.
A series of depositions that not only prove that she's being held against her will, but also threaten to dismantle the Hollywood paedophile ring's sinister web of coercion and control. We've got the tapes, and they're shocking. It's clear that Wendy is currently living in fear for her life. They're locking up a mentally stable woman who holds incriminating evidence against some of the world's most powerful people. And they're doing it in broad daylight in front of the entire world.
Wendy Williams is locked in a room in an assisted living facility in New York. That's her. The only way I could interview her was to have a camera on the street because we can't get a camera in. She can't really have any visitors. She cannot go outside. She's been out twice in the last 30 days. She has no internet. She, and I think rightly says, she feels like a prisoner.
Terms of Wendy's guardianship seem to be extreme. I've spoke to her several months ago, and she just sounds like the same Wendy. Yes, is she quirky? Sure. Is she eccentric? Sure. She always has been.
And now a new revelation. Her team says a new medical evaluation ordered by Wendy's court-appointed legal team, finding she does not have frontal temporal dementia.
She does not have frontal lobar dementia. So that should be game, set, match.
Just being on Epstein's plane doesn't prove wrongdoing, but it is incredibly suspicious, especially after you hear what the victims had to say about what went on in that plane. In a 2015 Inside Edition interview, a former flight attendant on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet admits that young girls were always on board. The jet carried some of the most powerful people on Earth.
Wealth was so vast, the fact that he had this fleet of planes. We've heard a lot about the Lolita Express. Mm-hmm. What happened on the Lolita Express?
Everything that happened on the Lolita Express and his other planes was the same thing that happened in his bedrooms and the massage rooms, on the beach, wherever we were. They did not stop because we're in the air. 95% of the time, there was always sex involved. Jeffrey couldn't take a 2-hour flight without having to ejaculate. That's how sick this man was.
How did you live every day? How did you get on board that plane? How did you live knowing you're going off to New York or to the island or to wherever you were about to be trafficked to? You must have been a ball of dread and anxiety.
I was horrified, I was sad, I was angry, I was disgusted. I was a shell, and the only way that I could cope with what I was going through was, taking Xanax. And Xanax is like an anti-anxiety tablet, but it also, it took away that feeling of anger, sadness. It made me feel numb. It was a numbing tablet, and it helped me cope with what was going on at the time. It took a lot of people involved. It took doctors, psychiatrists, gynecologists, dentists. All these people knew what was going on.
Any other names together. The police are out on stage. They've cut to commercial. You didn't see what happened. By the time they come out, people have been removed. It goes on. It's certain ways things are handled when it's not intentional. When things go smoothly, but they seem chaotic, that means there was forethought and a plan. Somebody, even if it looks like, Janet Jackson just had a wardrobe malfunction. There's no such thing.
Correct.
I don't care who you blaming.
I believe that.
Somebody benefited. Yeah. So in all of these situations, there's a business involved and there's real money involved, and somebody's benefiting from this thing that looks like, oh, that just happened. Nah, no way. No way.
All of this is why Dave Chappelle walked away from the money. He even went on Oprah later and explained his thought process. Dave Chappelle actually explained this perfectly with what he called the salt trap. He said a baboon gets trapped because it won't let go of the salt it grabbed, even when that's the only thing keeping it stuck. And for Dave, that salt was the money, the fame, and the deal. The difference is he let go.
Comedian Dave Chappelle left tens of millions of dollars on the table when he walked away from his popular Comedy Central show. A lot of people wondered what the hell was he thinking, and that's a quote. Chappelle says he had,
he was thinking.
or whether he was thinking. A lot of people asked that question. Chappelle says He had a crisis of conscience and stood up for his integrity as an artist. He explained to us how stepping out of the spotlight helped him avoid getting caught in a trap.
It's so much bigger than money, though, Dave. It's so much bigger than money.
Oh, no, it was bigger than money. But you know what? I watched one of these nature shows one time, and they were talking about how a bushman finds water when it's scarce. And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently, baboons love salt.
Okay.
So they put a lump of salt in a hole, and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt. Salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Now, if he's smart, all he does is let go of the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty. The bushman lets him out the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water. Bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. And in that analogy, I felt like the baboon. But I was smart enough to let go of the salt.
Isn't that a great analogy?
What an analogy!
Guys? I know. He's very, very thoughtful and very, very smart.
If everything Katt Williams is saying even scratches the surface of the truth, then this isn't just about a few celebrities. It's about how power actually works behind the scenes. Who gets protected, who gets silenced, and who gets labeled crazy the moment they stop playing along. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to subscribe Lux Celeb and turn on notifications.